Vibe just 3-0'd Ganzi.
Yes, in the FRB tournament.
In the FRB tournament, which is so nice because Vibe, of course, from my team, it's Gosu. I'm going to give him the favorite.
Bias.
No bias. I'm going to give him the favorite and say he's going to take this 2-0. Did I just say that? Yes, I did, ladies and gentlemen. 2-0.
All right. Well, Ganzi has very renowned TVZ. And a lot of people used to think he had good TVT, but no, his TVZ is the one that's standing. So I'm going to take Ganzi. But I'll say 2-1. Vibe has shown that he can beat him. He is understanding his playstyle. But keep in mind, FRB, for those of you who may or may not know, FRB is 6 mineral patches, 1 geyser per base. So the playstyle is very different, not what you normally macro with. And so maybe Ganzi wasn't familiar with it. Nonetheless, still a very impressive feat by Vibe.
Actually, by both of those players. To go from, I guess, 8 mineral patches, 2 gases, to only 6 and 1, that actually requires a lot of different thinking. You need to readjust everything in your builds, in your decision-making, your mechanics, exactly. It's just a lot of focus in that. And a lot of these players are only good at just this mechanical style of thinking. It's just like, I go for 12 Nexus, and then, well, no one does 12 Nexus.
12 Nexus?
I go for 10
go for
Depot,
8
12
Hatchery.
Barracks, 13 Refinery.
It's like a very easy computer plan.
15 Orbital Command Center.
Or like the insane AI, they get so many resources, they go 12 Nexus instead of 15. It's like, it's so
BM. The first time I played Insane Computer, I actually lost.
I got, the first 10 times I played, because I didn't understand. I'm like, how do they have so much? And I watched a replay, and, of course, StarCraft 2 was my first RTS, so I didn't even understand. I was like, is he just, like, how is he just doing so much? And I was like, oh, he has a resource hack. And it's actually funny because FRB was kind of like that too, because people didn't know when to take their gas. So they had like 400, 500 gas by like 6 minutes, and they're like, how do I have so much gas?
Like, I only have one of these.
I took it on standard 14.
What's going on? Oh, it's golden. And it's a rich Vespine gas.
Yeah. Let's introduce our players here on Ohana. In the top left, we have a member from It's Gozu, Dan Sherlong. His name is Vibe. And he did open hatchery first and without gas and getting a pool thus after. Very standard build. We saw it from TLO previously in the preceding series. In the bottom right, we have none other than Ganzi from Team Complexity. Ganzi, of course, with a 62% win rate against Zerg. Now, Duran's wrong. It says he's never played against Vibe, which is false. He's 0-3 currently against Vibe, but still, I have a lot of confidence.
Well, and they're actually more than that. I'm pretty sure they played in the past, and before that, Ganzi was actually 3-0 against his opponent. So that being said, they are 3-3, but Ganzi is actually ahead in the matches, I would say, that matter a little bit more, seeing as those are the ones with 8 mineral patches and 2 gas.
Let me bring up a cool history lesson, though, is that Ganzi is one of the best Terrans that people don't talk about. At the MLG Arena, he beat Violet, which is a good Zerg, especially because he got a good ZVT we saw as he picked off against Select in the Sunday Showdown. But he also beat DRG, Dongray Gu, the reigning GSO Kodesh champion. Won't be champion that much longer, but nonetheless, he's still a very good Zerg. People pin him as probably the best Zerg in the world. And if he's able to take series off of them, he's more than capable of doing it. I feel like the biggest thing with Ganzi is that if you can knock him off his plan, he's really hard to recover from. It's hard for him to recover sometimes because he's just one of these Terrans. Love the standard Terran Berserker. You can see he's already going for Reactor Hellions. Loves getting Marines dropping everywhere, or even just doing standard Marine tank pushes. And sometimes it doesn't even matter if you scout him. He just goes for it, very similar to MVP, and just kills you anyways.
I think he's a modern style of that hyper-aggression style we used to see back in the day with players like QXC and Select, MMA, etc. He's a more refined style, I would say. Ganzi knows when to pressure, knows when not to. And that's something that's so beautiful in a player, knowing when to use your advantages and when to keep them at home. That's really hard to actually do, especially in a match like TVZ, where the larva mechanic gives a huge range to where the Zerg could be doing one thing, or you can think they're doing one thing, and they do exactly the opposite. So I like where Ganzi has gone with this. He's a very refined player, and I think his TVZ is something to really marvel at.
And I love the modern positioning, of course, with bunkers and supply depots, just trying to make sure they don't get walled off. And the reason why, actually, a lot of people are still in Deuce is because over in Korea, specifically, a lot of Zergs have been actually going for Zergling run-bys early on and skipping the wave of drones and trying to catch Terran when they're vulnerable. And, speaking of being vulnerable, Ganzi has a third command center on the way, and we see an early Bane nest from Vibe and a lot of units in production.
This is so good for Vibe at this point. Now, if Ganzi doesn't go and scout this out, he will see that there's no third base, but unfortunately, I mean, the onslaught is already coming down to his opponent's base, and he still doesn't know this is coming.
Oh,
the
he's
Hellions are just swinging by.
It. Yes,
there
he sees it. So he should know, and he's already starting Marauder production, and he's not going to have enough, though, at least for the first wave of units. He's going to fall back immediately. 2 more barracks in production. Ganzi in a huge amount of heat. You can already tell that he saved up a lot of gas because he was prepared to burst a lot of units, but now he's in full crisis management mode. We'll find out how effective it is. Vibe actually falls back, wants to wait for his Banelings, and when the Banelings come, he's going to make it rain, Andre.
Oh my gosh, this is so good for Vibe. He just needs to connect correctly and keep those roaches alive. He can't afford to lose any of those, and the Hellions are really nicely positioned. Let's see, the Banelings need to crash, and they will get and connect against some of the SCVs, but is it going to be enough? I'm not sure. Additional reinforcements are coming in here, and oh my gosh.
This is a great choke, though, if Ganzi can hold it, but he lets the units through because his bunker did not finish, and of course, ideally, Ganzi was able to hold at the top of his ramp, but now the Banes are coming in, and the SCVs are not running, they're engaging on the roaches, and Ganzi's suffering huge losses, and no matter what happens, he is so infinitely behind. GG. Vibe takes game number 1 against Ganzi, mixing it up with a huge Roach Bane timing. And that's
really nicely played.
Really well done.
I like that because Vibe is known for being the exact opposite.
Yeah, huge macro player.
Exactly. And for him to mix it up already game number 1, that's awesome. And I think it really puts Ganzi off kilter a little bit because think about that. Ganzi was expecting his opponent to play a very macro style.
Yeah.
You can tell these players have played each other before because Ganzi doing that blind command center, that's such a bold move. You basically say, my opponent is not doing a 2-base all-in, or my opponent isn't looking or doesn't have the capacity to switch over into some sort of 2-base aggression. So for him to do that, it really says, oh, wow, Vibe, you're able to do all these sorts of builds. You're able to change it up. I need to play a lot more conservative than I have been thus far.
It's interesting because he has Hellions also scout no early third, so he was scouting a little bit, but again, without that information, Ganzi was punished for being greedy, and as MVP said, you shouldn't hesitate in those situations. That game was brought to you by Kingston HyperX, the company that's been providing lots of SSDs and memory for NASL Season 3, as well as an SSD to the winner of the Sunday Showdown. Guys, don't go anywhere. Game number 2 between Vibe and Ganzi is coming up right after this.
We'll be back. We'll be back.
We'll be back.